Welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Coming out of this fast break, appreciate you being here inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. And I'm very happy to have here with me, picture in picture, David Clement here with us. And very, very much interesting. I've never been able to do this before. I went to Christian Brothers Academy in Syracuse. He goes to Christian Brothers Academy in Albany. So both CBAs, both very similar, obviously in a lot of ways, but in different parts of the state of New York. So he is also a 2023 incoming commit to Syracuse University's football program, coming in at tight end, standing at 6'7" currently. So with that being said, David, how you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. So bring me into it. How would you describe, do you say, I guess these are the questions I have to ask about CBA and what I remember. Do you do St. John the Baptist de La Salle? Pray for us, live Jesus in our hearts forever?
In the morning and at the end of the school day. Every day.
So, Christian Brothers Academy, unique, right? Because there's one in Syracuse right down the road from where you practice at Syracuse as a member of the football team. And then there's one in Albany. Do you know anybody from Syracuse's side? And what do you think about that? Because I've never been able to do the picture in picture Syracuse CBA to Albany CBA.
So we play them every year in basketball, actually. And last year we played them at CBA Syracuse, but we lost to a buzzer beater. So it wasn't the best.
So do you have any friends? Do you keep in touch with anybody or no?
Not from CBA Syracuse, really. It's like more of just see them once a year in basketball. But
and that basketball, like you said, that rivalry there, the buzzer beater there, those close games, those close moments. So something tangible to have to appreciate every year, to look forward to, I guess.
Yeah.
So what does it mean to you with the fact, with that being said, that you're going to be coming to the city of Syracuse, so you're going to be right down the road from the other CBA? What does that mean to you?
It's exciting to stay in state. I know a lot of people in Albany alone that just support Syracuse, just not New York State. Everybody supports Syracuse. And I actually have family that live in Casanova.
Okay.
So that's pretty close to Syracuse. I know they were excited to hear the news, and just knowing the amount of people and support that in New York that support Syracuse as a whole and everything.
Yeah, and like you said, it's important for you to stay in state. And I know that's something that I bang the drum about a lot, that Syracuse should be recruiting locally and should be keeping local talent local. So to be a part of that movement, which really seems to be happening in the incoming class of 2023, more than anywhere else that we've seen under Dino Babers and his staff, what does that mean to you, that Syracuse is not only recruiting locally, but it seems like your class is a class where they're really focusing on that?
I was glad to be a part of it. On my official visit, I know I had two kids from New York, the city. So I was glad I could, see them, how Syracuse is really pushing the in-state and really trying to keep us in state and, show us that, it can stay in the state and that we have the talent in the state to play at that high level.
Are you surprised that it's taken maybe this long to have this happen again? Coach Mack did it, Coach P did it, but there's been a lull with local recruiting. Are you surprised that it's taken kind of this amount of time for Syracuse to get back to it?
No, not too surprised. I'm glad they are now, and just glad to be a part of it.
So with you being a part of this, and like you said, when you came on your visit, was it Zion Moultrie Goddard from the Bronx and then Jaleel Smith from Brooklyn that were here with you?
Yep.
So what was that experience like for you? You're from Albany, and then you have the Bronx and Brooklyn. Not only that all of you committed to Syracuse, but you're all in state and you were all on the same visit. So what was that dynamic like?
I was glad to see other people from New York, but I know we talked. We have a little bit of a different part of New York, me being more upstate than they are. They asked me a couple questions about what it's like upstate. I asked them what it's like in the city.
Yeah.
Just to see what it's like, how different the living kind of is. But
what did Jaleel and Zion tell you about downstate New York City area?
I remember one of the stories about their football games, how the they've heard like teams had to walk to their field. Like they just walk to it because it was only like a 10-15 minute walk instead of actually like driving there, but not having like a field on school grounds. Like it was different to me.
And then what did you tell them about upstate New York?
They were surprised about how like difference it is from a big city, how more like suburban kind of is,
Yeah.
and just difference in playing.
So for you to have, I mean, you're all in state, obviously, but it's a different type of it. That movement, like you said, you're proud to be a part of this. To see Zion there and to see Jalil there, when you were all talking, was there a notion like, hey, we're all going to come here? Did you feel that before you left the official visit, or how did you take it?
I mean, I knew I was going to go there before they did. I heard Zion was going to go. It was just Jaleel. I don't think he wasn't certain on it when he first came. And then by the end of it, I know we helped him be certain that this is where he wanted to be.
Why do you think that it took Jaleel some time to do it? Why do you think he needed a little coaxing, so to speak?
I'm not too sure, but maybe seeing that there's other New York kids that he could connect to going there, he felt more comfortable.
And then for you, you said, I knew I was going there before the other two did. Why did you know?
I knew I liked the family aspect. It was, quite close from Albany to Syracuse, and just I felt like a family there. When talking to Coach Babers and talking to Coach and they made me really feel like I was a part of it before I even was.
And you said talking to Coach and I mean, he's one of the new coaches on staff coming from Virginia when Bronco Mendenhall decided to step away from the Virginia Cavaliers. He left his staff open, right? So what can you tell us about Coach and I, as he is a new face, he is a new name, and a lot of people haven't had a chance to really get to know who he is?
I love Coach and great guy. We talk daily basis, calls, and I like how he's always willing to talk to me about anything. And he always tells me if I ever need to ask him a question, I gotta just send a text and I can call him anytime. And so I'm really gonna take advantage of that to just pick his brain about anything I can.
And Coach and I, Robert and I, that you're talking about here, the offensive coordinator coming to Syracuse via Virginia. What is it about him that you feel is going to bring the most out of you, like his coaching? I know that you haven't been in practice with him. I know you haven't been on the field when, he's yelling things out and whatnot, but how would you describe him as a leader that you think will be good for you?
I mean, I don't know too much about him yet. I'm hoping I can get to know him even more, but I know at Virginia, his last tight end was 3rd round draft pick, eighth and 3rd round. So Jelani Woods, and I'm just excited to see how much he can really do with the tight end just 1 year of coaching him. And after Jelani, he transferred from Oklahoma State, I think it was. So involving the tight end in the offense, I'm glad to see that in that type of game. And that's where I want to be.
And you play in the tight end position. Sometimes it's a forgotten position. It's a lost art, right? We talk about Travis Kelce and Rob Gronkowski, and in history, we talk about Tony Gonzalez and whatnot, but it's not, and George Kittle, and there's some guys that have, Mark Andrews with the Ravens in recent history, but it's not always spoken about enough. And it's treated like, an extra blocker to the offensive line, but there's an art and there's a beauty to being an extra receiver. On some NFL teams, the tight end is the receiver. And I think arguably on the Atlanta Falcons, at least right now, maybe Kyle Pitts could be that in what he was to Florida. So what can you say about the tight end position and maybe some misconceptions that you want to correct?
I mean, most people think we're just slow guys that block, but I know there's a lot of us out there that can actually really run routes, catch, and do most things wide receivers can do, but also have that aspect of blocking, which really helps us be like a double-sided knife to just really be able to help on any way we can.
What do you enjoy more, blocking or getting out in the passing area?
I always like getting in the trenches. It's always fun, because you got to have a different kind of grit level to really just want to be there, and it really takes a lot to be in the trenches and just move another person as hard as you can, and as fast as you can. So, but definitely catching like a touchdown, different feeling than pancaking somebody.
What's better, catching a touchdown or pancaking somebody?
Catching a touchdown.
So, but the first thing that you said to me was being in the trenches and blocking and being a part of that. Most people, I feel like, would have said catching a ball, right? Being a part of the offense, being a part of the passing game. Why do you enjoy blocking? Why do you enjoy pancaking people? Why do you enjoy being in the trenches? Because 9 times out of 10, if I'm speaking to a tight end, I think the first thing and maybe the only thing they're going to say is, I want to go to a team where I'm involved in the passing game. Why do you enjoy the physicality of the line?
None of that. Without the line, you're not going to get that ball off. Your quarterback's going to get hit right way before you can even get that ball off to catch or anything. But improving in the trenches really helps you to, be able to get out there. The coaches trust you that you can do what you're told and get out there and run a route and catch the ball.
And with you being a part of this, what would you consider at the tight end position to be your best attributes blocking? And then separately, what do you think you do well when it comes to being a part of the passing game?
Blocking, I know I have a little bit of work to do just to get ready for bigger people that are going to be at the collegiate level. So, but blocking, I think I can really move people, and I think I have good enough footwork to help in the run game or pass blocking, no matter what. And then, catching, I think my ability to high point the ball and catch it over some defenders, being a taller person, is really useful for a lot of situations.
Well, that's the thing, you can't teach 6'7". So, what's that life like for you when you're out there, playing in these high school games? I can imagine that that you have that Statue of Liberty ability in a bunch of situations.
It's nice. I think my coach enjoys it, having the ability to just let the quarterback throw it up there, and he knows I'm going to do whatever I can to go get the ball.
For you, knowing that that's going to change collegiately, and there's going to be people of height, and there's going to be, physical bodies, big bodies and whatnot. You can't teach height, as I stated before, but what are you doing right now to make sure that you can transition? What are some things that you're working on to make you ready right off the jump when you go to college?
I mean, a lot of gaining muscle workouts and agility stuff, just so I can get there and try to make an impact as soon as I can. But I'm not going to back down from anybody when I get there. I'm going to be right up there trying to do whatever I can.
David Clement here with us this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, inside of a very unique Wake Up Call broadcast, which I'm very happy to share with you, because we have all 3 that we're celebrating from the state of New York that we've been able to talk to so far. We've had Zion, as well as having Jalil on the show, and now having David here, all for you this morning, a trio of in-state New York student athletes that are staying here in the state of New York with Syracuse College football, coming in for 2023 altogether. So, David, as we look at the tight end position, do you have a tight end that you look up to, that you mirror yourself with? Is there somebody that you love watching on a Sunday or a Saturday, collegiately or professionally?
And usually Travis Kelce, because he's in my always try to get him in fantasy.
Okay.
Love the tight end position, so I always try to get him in fantasy. So Travis Kelce, but I've really come to like Kyle Pitts, like new guy. Yeah. So, and his ability to catch, it's just really been something I've looked up to try and imitate and try to get there.
My question for you off of that: will Travis Kelce be the same without Tyreek Hill?
I think defenses will be able to focus a little bit more on him without the Tyreek Hill being in that concept, but I think he can still do anything he wants. He's kind of you can't predict what he can do. Sheer
talent and just I know some people have a couple years in, some, a decade plus, but is Rob Gronkowski the best tight end in the history of the NFL, or is it somebody else?
Rob Gronkowski, 100%.
Why?
Yes, he could do it all. I know there was doubts with his injuries, but you've never seen someone that can do it all like he could. I know he had a great quarterback and all, but
yeah,
every wide receiver needs a great quarterback too. So you don't just deny the tight end.
That's fair enough. Is a fair statement. So if Rob Gronkowski decided that he was going to unretire again, would you draft him above Travis Kelce or no?
No.
Okay. How high? See, I do fantasy football and I've been running it as commissioner for over a decade. So, and we're actually in our 11th year in our Central New York leagues and our 12th year down in Florida, in Central Florida, Orlando area. So I have to ask you this: how high in a 10 to 12 team league? How high are you drafting Travis Kelce? Are you drafting him in the first round, second round? Let's say in a snake draft, and there's 12 teams, and let's say you're the 8th pick. What are you doing?
Usually I try to get him in the second round. I'm not sure where I took him last year, but I know I had him in like 2 of my leagues. So I usually try to get him second round. Maybe if I know someone's going to really want to pick him, I go first round and then just see what I can do with the rest. Because tight end is really just a position you need, because there's a big gap in a lot of tight ends in the league, I feel like. So if you can outscore someone's position like that by 10, 15 points, I think you have a big advantage in the whole game, in the whole week.
So if you don't take Kelce in the first round this year, what position are you going to, and who would you like to get? Do you go running back or wide receiver, and what do you do?
Go running back.
Okay.
Probably try to get Taylor if I can.
Okay.
And, I'm really looking to try to get him this year.
Yeah, his numbers are incredible. Derrick Henry's numbers are nice too, but Jonathan Taylor's got something going on in the water there. Conference realignment. This is something that has happened. It reared its head a decade ago in 2012. There's been a little bit of it here and there, but in 2012 it went nuts. And that's when we saw Syracuse, as well as Pittsburgh and Louisville, join the ACC in all sports. We saw Notre Dame join in everything but football around that same time period. Now we're seeing Oklahoma and Texas will be going to the SEC. We're seeing that the Big 12 is trying to eat the Pac-12, essentially. They've taken 3 big-time schools from the American Athletic. The American Athletic took 6 to make up for their 3 leaving. They have 14. The Sun Belt has 14. The Big 12 is trying to get more than 12. The SEC has at least 16. The Big 10 took USC and UCLA, and they'll have 16 at least. What are your thoughts going into college football, knowing that when you start playing, the world is going to look drastically different eventually? While you're in school, you're going to see the Big 10 having California teams, and you're going to see the 2 best teams of the Big 12 be playing in the SEC.
I think it's going to look different, but I'm not worried, because no matter what, when you get into football, you got to beat your opponent. No matter what conference they're in, no matter who they are, you still have to beat them.
What if something happened to the ACC, for argument's sake? And because I look at a lot of these bouncing balls and whatnot, what if Syracuse had to move? Or what if the ACC lost some teams and gained some teams? What would that mean to you?
Not much. I mean, I'm excited to play anybody. I'm willing to play anybody. So I'm not too worried. Syracuse
offered you. You committed to Syracuse. You weren't really interested in anything else. Has Syracuse always been the place you wanted to go? I mean, you're growing up in Albany. You're in upstate New York. Was Syracuse always on the radar? Or was that always the hope for you, or what was it?
To be honest, not really. I didn't. Okay. At first, I wasn't even really a football player. I thought I was playing basketball. I thought I was going to just play basketball for my life. And then freshman year, I started football, and it really picked up. And then new coaching staff came in for my school. And, he told my mom, he's a football player playing basketball, not a basketball player playing football. And that's where I really picked up this season in my role in the team, and just started from there.
So for you, you thought you were going to be a basketball player. What did you think about? I mean, you hear that, and the fact that you're not a basketball player playing football, but a football player playing basketball. Did you believe it when you heard it? Did it take you time to really wrap your head around that and go, really? This is my thing. I mean, how did you handle that notion of you're playing the sport of basketball, but you're really a football player?
It took some. I didn't really realize it until I played a couple games with my new coach, but I still loved basketball. It was my first sport I loved, so I haven't been playing much of it recently because of all the football stuff. But I took some time to get used to, for sure.
What is it in your do you okay, so for the people that don't know, when did you transition to football and when did you start to fall in love with football?
I transitioned to football 8th grade year going into freshman year.
Okay.
That's when I started. That was going to be my first season, my freshman year, because my mom never wanted us to play when we were growing up because they're like, you're going to get hurt, blah, blah, blah. But then she gave in. My brother started playing, my older brother. And so then I started playing and I fell in love with it when I first started playing, because I always watched it growing up. It was like one of my favorite sports I liked watching. I'm a Bengals fan. It's a little bit. It was Bengals fan since I was young. And nobody will believe me now because of what we did past season, but I was an AJ Green fan, and that I really fell in love with the game, like watching him.
So you're a Bengals fan. You've been a Bengals fan. So do you have a favorite Bengals tight end historically? Do you have somebody? Because in recent history, it's been kind of all over the place. And right now they're still trying to figure it out. CJ Uzomah's not theirs anymore. So Hayden Hurst, who used to be a Raven and a Falcon, Drew Samples there, Mitchell Wilcox, Nick Eubanks, Thaddeus Moss, Randy Moss's son from LSU, and so on and so forth. Do you have a favorite Bengals tight end now? And do you have one of the past?
I don't have a favorite one now, but I know I really liked CJ because he was a nice little dump off for Burrow when he needed some, quick yards or he was struggling in the pocket. So I really liked him, but I was upset when they didn't bring him, when they couldn't get him to come back.
Your team just made it in Joe Burrow's not even second year, I'd say year and a half, because he got hurt as a rookie. In less than 2 years, Joe Burrow went to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Why did they lose, and what makes you think they can get back?
I don't know why the Rams are a great team.
Yeah.
Good team. They had their flaws, but they were a good team. The young. I mean, the Bengals being a young team, it was just insane for everybody to see them make it that far. And I was like, I'm telling you, for 10 years, they're good. You just got to give them some time. They had the streak where we weren't making playoffs, won like 2 games, and so then I was like, this is the year, this crazy year, and I know they're going to get back there and they're going to win it because I think we have the best wide receiver core in the whole entire league.
Does Jamar Chase hurt T. Higgins because he's known Joe Burrow for so long and they've immediately kind of picked that up when he was a rookie last year? So fantasy wise, reality wise, does Jamar Chase hurt T. Higgins?
No, I mean, I think Jamar Chase will be the wide receiver 1, but that doesn't mean Higgins' value and will really drop too much.
That coming to you from David Clement here with us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, tight end that is dedicated himself to Syracuse. You said that Syracuse wasn't really your thought growing up because you were playing basketball, not football. So when Syracuse offered you, you told me off the air, like, hey, they offered me, I was done. That's what why was that offer from Syracuse enough for you? And why did you feel like you just knew that this was going to be your home?
It's a tough question. I don't really know. It just felt right. It just felt right when I got there. It felt like that's where I wanted to be. I mean, of course, it took me some time to realize, and I didn't commit on the spot.
Yeah.
And it took me a couple weeks, I think. But then I realized, like, this is where I wanted to be. There's like nowhere else is really, I didn't feel like anywhere else would really mean as much to a New Yorker as myself. And I felt like everybody supported Syracuse and they just made me feel like they wanted me. So I was glad to be there.
You're one of the first 3 commits for the incoming class of 2023. You committed after Lenora Sellers and Richard Perry and committed back on March 25th. You said it took you a couple weeks, but being one of the first 3 in the class of 2023, what does that mean to you? And And why did you feel comfortable committing so early?
I mean, it meant a lot. Really, that's really when it was like when I was talking to these schools. Really, when I decided like, now maybe I'm really not a basketball player right now. Maybe I am a football player, and it meant a lot to just get an offer itself because I was hoping it was in basketball for so long, and then it came in football. I was like, so it felt great, and then being part of the first three to commit, I just wanted to. It's where I want to be. I didn't really think too much about anybody else committing. Who like I knew players will come, players will go. But like it's where I want to be.
Did you talk to anybody besides Zion and Jaleel? Did you talk to anybody else so far that has committed to Syracuse?
No, not anybody else.
So this group of in-state players, do you already have that bond because of New York State? I mean, do you feel like you already have that connection? And is that something that you think is going to maybe has already started building the friendship and building some chemistry between you all because you know what it's like to come from a state that's not adequately represented?
Yeah, I think it means a lot. We have that bond. We have the New York State bond, and just all the support backed by people from New York for Syracuse. I think it's just really good for us.
You said Syracuse just felt right, and you were talking about Coach and I and whatnot. What else was it about Syracuse that when you took that couple weeks to think after your visit, what was it that just felt different? You said you felt like you were wanted. Why did you feel that way?
Coach and he made me feel like I was a top priority in recruiting, and he really wanted me to go there. And just that was the main school that stuck out to me about how much they really wanted me.
We look at the roster right now for Syracuse, and there's only a couple tight ends on this roster. Stephen Mahar Jr., who came from Rochester, New York at Aquinas Institute, and Maximilian Mang, who came from Germany. So that tight end position is pretty wide open. Did that play a role in all of this for you, that there is no dominant tight end currently at Syracuse who's commanded the job and is an incumbent starter?
No, not really. I mean, I met Max and Steve Mahar when I first got there, and I was like, the coach pointed out that those are tight ends, and I met them, and I just really wanted to be there as a tight end. I mean, I'm willing to work for it. I didn't really care about who was there already. I wanted to go there, and I just wanted to be part of that team no matter what.
Coming here from David Clement. David, before I let you go, CBA Albany, myself, CBA Syracuse, about 2 minutes down the road. I said Dino Babers could ride a tricycle there and get there in less than half an hour. So my question to you is, will you go to a CBA Syracuse football game?
Probably not. I mean, actually, I know they play a school. Week 0, they play Shaker. Shaker's a school from where I am, and they play week 0. I'm pretty sure they're playing in Utica, actually.
Okay.
So maybe actually I was game week 0, but maybe if I have some time, I'll see if I can go to a game out there.
All right, fair enough. What does it mean to you to come from CBA? And because we have a similar education, 2 different cities, but the same model, what can you say about CBA academically and athletically that you feel is different?
I mean, it's great in both academics and athletics, and just having that brotherhood as a school really helped in my part in choosing Syracuse, where I felt like it was another brotherhood.
What is it? How would you define brotherhood?
Just people, you may not get along all the time. You may not just like everybody, but at the end of the day, they'll all be there for you, no matter what it is.
So you're coming to Syracuse, you've committed to Syracuse. Is there any chance you could change your mind between now and signing day?
No, I don't. I'm committed to Coach and Coach Babers and the whole entire team.
This moment for you means blank. This recruitment, this commitment, knowing that you will play Division 1A FBS football means blank. Fill in that blank to me.
means everything. It means like it's what I wanted as a little kid, just to play in college and hopefully get to the pros, which I'm going to try to do.
And Coach and has he made clear to you that he is going to focus on the tight end? Do you feel in the planning of all of this that there is going to be ample opportunity for you to be a part of the passing game?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that being said, you've answered my questions. You've answered them well. So we're going to jump into rapid fire. And this is something I want you to enjoy, David, because I don't know if anybody will ever give you this opportunity again. I will always give you this opportunity. As a broadcaster, I believe that we're the ones on the mic asking the questions. But what I think is fair is to let you do it. Since you get asked questions all the time, you should be able to ask them back. So we are picture in picture, and you're listening to us on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt and on wakeupcalldt.com and worldwide internet streaming radio. So from inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, it's rapid fire, 3 questions apiece. I get 3, you get 3. We have to answer them because we are here on audio and we're here on camera. So I'm going to let you ask me the first one.
All right. What made you want to become a broadcaster?
Well, first and foremost, I love telling stories. I've never had an issue walking into a room and talking with people and, breaking the ice, so to speak. So, I love to bring people together. I love to tell stories. I have a big imagination. I know what I stand for. And unfortunately, in the world of the media, the more honest you are, the more you believe in God, the harder you work, and the more you try to help people, the more the majority of the media doesn't like who you are. And I was told a long time ago, if the coaches and the players wave to you when they come out of practice and the media doesn't talk to you, who would you rather have in your corner, the media or the coaches and the players? And that is the easiest answer in the world. I mean, I want to have you guys. And unfortunately, I know at some point in your career, you might come to me and say, hey, Dan, this is what I said, and this is what they wrote. And you're never going to get that from me. So I think for me, I've always loved telling stories and bringing people together. And now the longer I've been in it, which will be 19 years in November, as young as I am, I started around 18. For me, I feel an obligation now even more because I know that players and coaches are not handled properly. And I want to be a beacon of hope, not just for my business and for you guys, but I want people that want to get into this profession to have an opportunity to work for me and know that you could do things the right way. Because I think if you care about the story more than the person, you're going to burn a lot of bridges hoping you get famous. But if you care about the people, you're going to make lifelong friendships, which to me are a lot more important because at the end of my life, I think my soul is my currency, not my money. And treating you with respect is much more important to me than just trying to get you to say something rude about your coach.
Yep.
My first one for you, David, is if you could sit in with me and broadcast with me, besides Syracuse, what is the topic that you would want to talk about? What sport, what team? If I said you and I are going to do a 2-hour broadcast, a wake up call, what are we going to talk about if you got to choose?
That's a good one. I mean, I want to explore right now, free, NBA free agency, all that, right? If it would happen right now, all the moves in the NBA and also maybe get into what's going on in the NFL, what teams are planning on doing this next season and see if the Bengals can really repeat what they really pulled off in the last season.
Let me ask you this as a 1A. Kevin Durant, where would you like to see him go? Now I posted, and I want to let you know that in the time that we're currently talking, I had put up a poll, and on Twitter at CallDT, I put these up all the time. We try to do it weekly, definitely monthly. I put up a Kevin Durant post, and I want to get your thoughts on this. Where would you like to see him go if and when he leaves the Brooklyn Nets? And I'll tell you after the fact. I don't want to load the question. I'll tell you the 4 that I posted and what people said, but where would you like to see Kevin Durant go?
Oh, now I have a story. I'm an OKC fan.
Okay. All right.
You know, Kevin Durant was my favorite player growing up. Hated Russell Westbrook because of Kevin Durant the whole time he was in OKC. And then he left us. You know, I was in the car ride home from a basketball tournament when that happened. You know, really worst pain I felt in a while. But I remained a Kevin Durant fan, never changed my team, still an OKC fan. But I remained a Kevin Durant fan through it all. And I still think he's the greatest scorer in all of NBA and in NBA history too. And, you know, I'd like to see him come back.
Okay.
I don't know how much he would really help us now, but if he came back, I don't know if he can, but coming back would mean a lot.
I'm going to tell you right now, we have almost 300 votes that have come in. And I put Boston Celtics, Phoenix Suns, Dallas Mavericks, or Los Angeles Lakers. It made me very happy to know that 8% of the world said Los Angeles Lakers, 15% said the Celtics, 33% said Phoenix, and 44% said Dallas. And I think, because I really honestly think that I think there needs to be another superstar for Luka Doncic. And I thought of Kevin Durant making sense with that before he decided to look for this trade or whatever. So Kevin Durant made sense to me there, and he made sense to me in Phoenix. So I think it's funny that those are the top 2, because in my opinion, Phoenix needs to push over the hump a little bit here, even though they've been strong the last 2 years. And the Dallas Mavericks with him and Luka Doncic, I think, have a really good opportunity of winning a championship.
Yeah, I agree.
What's your second one for me?
All right. If there was one sport you had to focus on, what would you choose?
I got to do it. I would probably say, so I played basketball all my life, and I love basketball. Love it so much. But I'd probably say, man, that's tough, because between realignment, see what I'm thinking college football realignment, because I've called a lot of, I've predicted a lot of things. And I feel like once things happen, that even if I didn't predict them, that once they start happening, I start making sense of the bouncing ball. And I like the challenge of trying to get that right. So, but I also love the first two days of March Madness when we get games from noon to midnight. So, man, you got me. I'd probably say football, because of realignment and what I would do. And because I've gotten to know, I do a Commissioner Central series. So I've gotten to know a lot of commissioners and executive directors around the country, and a lot of the conferences because of that. So I would probably say football, because I could do the NFL with my eyes closed, and I could do the NFL asleep if you woke me up at 3 a.m. So I'm going to say football. If you had to pick, the college football playoff this year for 2022-23, you had to pick it right now, who would you say?
Ohio State.
Okay.
Alabama.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of Georgia. I don't know why. Not a big fan of Georgia, so they're not going to go in there.
Okay.
But they probably would make it, so maybe we'll put them in there. Georgia, and just to see my favorite underdog story, Abbott, Syracuse.
Okay.
Just see that underdog story.
Okay.
Just win it, pull it out, win it.
I respect it. What's your final one for me?
All right. I gotta think. Who do you want to interview the most, dead or alive?
I would say Ernie Davis, who played for Syracuse, because I've interviewed Jim Brown and Floyd Little, and Floyd still weird to me. May he rest in peace. I'm still waiting for him to see him after a game like I normally do. rest in peace. But we built a friendship for, I want to say, 8 years before he passed away, which I never could imagine in my life. I got to meet Jim Brown and interview him. So I would say Ernie Davis, because he passed away way before I was born. And I interviewed Tom Coughlin that played at SU and was with Jacksonville. I want to interview him again. I want to interview Larry Zonka, who's still alive and played at SU and played with the Dolphins. And then I would say, I'm going to hit you with a curveball. Dead or alive, you said. So I would definitely want to sit down with Robin Williams, Prince, and Michael Jackson, just because I think that would be insane.
Mhm.
My one for you kind of goes off of that. If you could sit at a table and have dinner with 3 people, you have to pick one person in music, one person in movies, and one sports person. Who would you have dinner with? And why?
Music. I'm a big Hamilton fan. So
Okay.
Lin-Manuel Miranda, I'll put him
Okay.
down at the table. I just want to pick his brain about like how he came up with everything he has
Okay.
and like what really inspires him to write songs and plays. And then you said a sports person too?
Yeah.
All right,
Sports and movies. Yep.
I think LeBron James is the best basketball player all time. So I'll sit down with LeBron. And then movies. That's a tough one. That is a tough one. I don't know. I'm not too big on movies, but I gotta think who's someone really good. This is tough. There's so many options.
There is. Who would you want to get to know at dinner?
So many. I was obsessed with Morgan Freeman growing up.
Okay.
I don't know why, so probably him.
All right. Lin-Manuel Miranda, LeBron James, and Morgan Freeman. Be a very interesting dinner table. That coming from David Clement here with us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, coming from Christian Brothers Academy in Albany, New York, and staying in state, going to Syracuse 2023 incoming tight end. And as we're here in the Wake Up Call Cafe Kubal Studios, I want to thank you, David, for being a part of the show. And I want to thank Syracuse for recruiting locally, as I've been banging that drum forever. So I look forward to having you back on the show soon. And I appreciate you doing some picture in picture with us.
Thank you for having me.